Black Power Hotel, brothers and sisters, as always, giving honor to the ancestors. My sister, Chief of Staff Brother Harris Abdul of the Street Law Soldiers, my father-in-laws, and all of our ancestors and brothers and sisters that are fighting for our liberation and salvation. Today I want to talk to you about this nigga. And I say that, you know, I put emphasis on that word. This fuck nigga that murdered this young woman on Facebook Live. This beautiful young sister. I'm not going to go into any names or anything. I'm just going to talk about the actual events that took place. You know, beautiful young queen, mother of three, who was dealing with this guy who apparently was married. And what happened was she went on Facebook Live and said that she was going to put it out there because she was tired of acting like some type of covert agent in terms of their relationship. So he went over to her house, you know, with a rifle and went on Facebook Live and murdered that woman on Facebook Live. And at the same time, barricaded himself. If you can look at that picture on the bottom, that's a Facebook Live snapshot with this bitch nigga holding the rifle while she was hollering, "Don't do that," you know, begging for her life while he executed that woman on Facebook Live. And the police, when the police arrived, he barricaded himself in her house. Believe he fired a couple of shots while he was inside because I think a police officer was shot in the hand or something of that nature. And, you know, and the bitch nigga surrendered. You know, if he was so tough and hard, why didn't he go outside and hold court outside after he executed that sister for nothing? You know, I mean for nothing. You know, and what is, you know, she's a mother of three. You know, and this fuck nigga took that sister away from her children. You know, leaving these children, you know, in the hands or care of either another relative or either foster care. And if it's foster care, it's another family. It's more of our babies going into foster care, which is just, I believe foster care should be abolished. I believe it's a system of pedophilia and a system of organ trafficking, murder, physical, emotional, sexual abuse. You know, and it's a gauntlet of all of that madness that our children, our babies, you know, are shuffled into as a result of either situations such as these with this fuck nigga. And I hope he gets, you know, quadruple life. You know, I hope the worst for him. And I'm not just speaking for the sister, but I'm speaking for those children who he didn't have enough goddamn heart to deal with the situation like a man by hiding it from his parent, wife, or whatever, instead of being a man and dealing with the situation and putting it on the forefront. Maybe, you know, that situation may have been able to repair the marriage, or either made him separate and be with who he wanted to be with. No, but see, this bitch, you know, acted like a fuck nigga and took the life of that woman, leaving these children to be fucked over and fucked around. Hopefully, and I ask the Creator and the ancestors to embrace these little babies and guide them in the care maybe of some relative or grandmother who who will provide nurturing love, protection, and guidance for them and help them become strong men and women in the black community. You know, so let our prayers and our energy, send our energy towards the family of this queen. Because this nigga is Angola bound. That's Angola prison that you see. And I hope this nigga has to get on that chain gang every motherfucking day. And I hope those brothers, when they find out what the stupidity and the selfish bullshit that this faggot motherfucker done, and I hope they take care of his ass. He's going to get dealt with in Angola anyway, because everyone that goes there is tried and tested, and that's to see, you know, where you belong in Angola. That's the toughest prison in America. You know, this Nashville white supremacist massacre at this Waffle House in Nashville, where this motherfucking devil murdered 4 and injured several others, entering the Waffle House, you know, with no motherfucking clothes on, naked, with the exception of a windbreaker and a fucking rifle with clips in his jacket. And it's apparent, you know, that he's a white supremacist. You can look at him and tell from Nashville, Tennessee. You can look at this whiskey drinking, pissing and shitting in the woods, raw deer meat eating, Jack Daniels drinking, hillbilly, dungaree wearing motherfucking white supremacist, dirty motherfucking faggot. And he went in there and shot. The 4 that he shot were with the exception of the Latino brother, which only a pinch of them are black. The rest of them are white, as far as I'm concerned. However, you know, he murdered people of color. And the thing that, you know, the thing that gets me about that, you know, the police chased this motherfucker in the woods after he shot, you know, about 10 people. You know, they chased him in the motherfucking woods. They didn't shoot him. They told him put his weapon down. They didn't murder him like they would have. Now, if that was a brother, they would still been raking his goddamn skin up out of the woods. That's how many times he would have been shot. But since this was a cracker that shot some niggas in the eyes of these motherfuckers, you know, let's not take him down. You know, let's just take him in. Because, see, I discussed that with a brother, and shout out to brother Julius. I discussed that with a brother the other day about how the nigger police and the cracker police, if they're riding together, and when they pull up on a black person, the nigger cop will inflict more bodily harm on the black person than the white person, because he wants to show the cracker cop that he doesn't show any favoritism for his people. So he will be the one that breaks the brother or sister's neck out there on the sidewalk. But when they go into a white neighborhood and they pull up on a white person, the white person, the cracker cop, is going to show favoritism and not give a fuck about how the nigger cop feels about it. And that's apparent every day. Like I told y'all, don't come around me saying racism doesn't exist. Don't come around me with that bullshit. Now, we done had thousands of black men that have been murdered for far less than shooting 9 people, killing 4. Our brother's been murdered by motherfucking cops for not even having a fucking weapon, for assuming that they have a weapon, for having a cell phone, a Three Musketeers candy bar, and on and on and on. You know, and as always, the first thing that they do when they lock these motherfuckers up. Now here's the brother who tackled the goddamn cracker. You know, and I have to take my hat off to him because he was trying to save brothers and sisters. So while this motherfucking cracker was reloading, putting another clip in his AR-15, he managed to tackle the cracker to the ground, you know, saving some other people's lives. You know, and you know, when we look at the trauma that it inflicts, these are the parents and grandparents of one of the victims that this cracker murdered, you know, and they are traumatized by this situation. And the first thing that these motherfuckers do, you know, and you see the cracker hugging the brother. But if it was the brother that had the gun in the Waffle House, he would have been in a motherfucking bag. Believe me. And that's the shit that I don't like. Now, in closing on this particular subject, the first thing that they always do is say, give the motherfucker a psychiatric evaluation. You didn't give none of the police psych evals that murdered our brothers and sisters and our elderly women. These white pig motherfucking devil stinking fucking cops have even murdered elderly black women. One woman, I think Eleanor Bumpers, was over 90 years old. And these white motherfuckers executed that woman in her fucking living room. But yet, you can stand around and see it was black cops out there too. And the black cop probably didn't have his goddamn pistol cocked. You know, now they want to talk and make him put his weapon down and all this. Now, you know, now they're going to do this competency trial, you know, whether they figure out, excuse me, I'm a little tongue-tied, whether they will find out, according to their standards, whether this goddamn devil is competent enough to stand trial. He was competent enough to murder. So, that should not be questioned. And see, this is how they get out of this shit. Dylan Roof, he goes into church, murders elderly black church parishioners. You know, they are arrested. See, these motherfuckers are arrested. Same in Orlando, all of them are arrested. But how many brothers have been arrested that have had weapons? You motherfuckers even killed babies. 12-year-old Tamar Rice in Cleveland, who had a fucking toy pistol. 12 years old. White cop executed him. But yet we don't say anything. We don't say anything. But when, see, you don't hear a lot of talk about this motherfucking massacre. That's what I call it, slaughtering our babies, college students. And see what they'll do, they'll try to find something on these on the murdered black victims and try to make a connection. Well, one of them was failing in school. Well, one of them wasn't, attending school, which doesn't have a goddamn thing to do with this cracker taking the lives of these babies. And I'm telling y'all gotta stop buying into that bullshit. Stop buying into it. Let's talk about this devil bitch judge who, this bitch here, Florida, Broward County judge. And see, a lot of times, a lot of y'all up north think that Florida is such sunshine and, you know, palm trees and motherfucking oranges and apples and Miami Beach and motherfuckers skiing and water skiing and jet skiing and all this bullshit. You know, that's South Beach, where the only blacks allowed down there are celebrities and athletes. But then you got hundreds, like a little backwood towns. That's what Rosewood was. In the woods. You know, the black towns are poor and impoverished, surrounded by rivers and lakes filled with goddamn alligators and crocodiles. And that's where George, I don't even like to say this motherfucker's name, you know, said about Jay-Z that he would feed Jay-Z to the crocodiles. You know, because gator bait. And I explained that to y'all in the last video, but let me just get to this. This bitch had a elderly woman suffering from asthma, COPD. I think she had some type of heart, congestive heart problems, and among a bunch of other health ailments, and was in court with this bitch. If you can see her in the wheelchair sitting there, and this white bitch literally talked to this elderly woman who was old enough to be her mother like she was a motherfucking dog, to the point where the woman could not breathe. The woman couldn't breathe any longer. Gasping for air. And then this white bitch said she was not concerned about this elderly woman needing air to breathe. She was in the wheelchair, and the video footage, if you ever see it, you will see that she's trying to catch her breath, the little breath that she has, and the wind that she has. She doesn't have her oxygen tank with her. She was arrested and placed in jail for some stupid ass crime, dealing with her daughter, or some restraining order, or some bullshit. She didn't receive adequate medical care while she was being held over at the Broward County Jail. She was released that day and she died. Now this bitch judge stepped down from the bench and was supposedly had resigned a few days ago. But is that enough for y'all? Is that enough? You know, is that just because she resigned? You know, and this is not her first case where she's went on and over sentenced and fucked over black people in Broward County. She has a history of this shit. This nasty, hook-nosed, bagel-eating bitch caused the death of that sister, of that elderly woman. And she should pay with more than her just stepping down. That don't mean shit. Let's talk about Slick Willie's motherfucking ass. Bill Clinton. Slick Willie. You know. As you can see, that's his black son. Right there. Right next to him. which he denies. But see, that's his son. See, Bill Clinton, that's why he played saxophone and all that bullshit and smoked weed, you know, and everybody thought he was so motherfucking cool. Because see, that's because, you know, he had him a piece of a black tail. He had some of that black honey hole, you know, naturally put a little swag in his goddamn step, you know. But he's the father of that man. And we can look at all even his baby pictures show that this motherfucker is that boy's father. You know, that's Bill Clinton when he was a baby. You know, and that's his son. And see, and that's the woman, you know, who Bill Clinton was fucking with. Now, you know, my hat don't go off to you. You know, don't get it twisted and fucked up like you did something motherfucking amazing because you slept with a motherfucking cave dog. You know, you should be ashamed of yourself for even having the desire to even lay with that Ice 8. You know, but since, you know, black male came out of the deal, I can't hold him against it. Can't hold nothing against him. But for the mother, yes. You should have never slept with that motherfucking cave dog. You know he's a walking germ. He's an Ice 8. Look at your son and look at what the melanin has done to him. How it has, you know, put some color and flavor into his features. You shouldn't even have that picture in the middle of a motherfucking half. He's 1/4 German Shepherd. And this bitch here, who looks like the motherfucking Joker on Batman, she knows about the situation too. But see, think about it, bitch, when you were calling, while you were calling in the 90s, black young men predators and monsters and animals and all that shit. Your stepson was one of them. So don't get it twisted. You know, and I don't know why you niggas voted for this bitch. I don't know why y'all voted for this motherfucking whore. She was going to be, if not worse, the same as Donald Trump. She would just had a different technique. Just because your whip may be shorter, that doesn't make you a better slave master. So, you know, I was in a Dollar Tree and an elderly woman, you know, barely walking, black elderly woman. I'm voting for Hillary Clinton. Come on, y'all, vote for Hillary Clinton. For what? And I'm not gonna argue with you. I'm not gonna argue with you. But you know, and it's a result of her not doing the history. Because we the type, we go with the masses. Whatever the media dictates to us, we follow suit. And that's another subject for another time. And see, this shit reminds me of this motherfucking nigga. This cracker here, Thomas Jefferson. Same way. You know, who slept with Sally Hemings. You know, and the thing that I don't like about it, you know, y'all take your hats off to Sally Hemings like that was such a big thing that she slept with an Ice 8, another Ice 8, another slave master. You know, he just fucked one of his slaves. He found out that he went to the honey hole. You know, got a piece of that black thing. You know, and lost his motherfucking mind. but he still had slaves. They, you know, he was still cracking the whip on the rest of them, on the dark-skinned ones. Still had house niggas and all that shit. You know, and then everybody try to praise Sally Hemings. For what? For what? The same as with this this Prince Harry shit with this sister. What's the big deal about her, you know, fucking another goddamn snow dog? You know, different. Because you know, you have broken tradition in the palace to have such, you know, a more, you know, someone of color in the palace, in the royal home. The fuck out of here. Ain't nothing royal about you motherfuckers. Nothing. But you gonna get royally fucked over when black people wake up. That's the only thing royal. You know, Sally Hemings, same way. You know, she fell in love with a motherfucking Ice Ape. You know, and these are the descendants. You know, now I have nothing against the descendants. Nothing. I'm glad y'all here. You know, and you know, out of Sally Hemings, fucking Thomas Jefferson. Let's be real. Let's not stop trying to, you know, formalize this nasty shit. You know, a lot of people came from that union. You know, and it's if you want to find it furthermore, that's the book called Jefferson's Children. You know, it's hundreds and hundreds of descendants based on melanin. It ain't based on. It's not based on no motherfucking disease, walking germ, Ice Ape, Mountain Dog, Thomas Jefferson. Not based on him. It's based on the how deep the melanin can go. Because Sally Hemings was a victim of rape too. Same with George Washington. George Washington had plenty. He was fucking plenty of slaves. You don't see no white people with the last name Washington, do you? All people of color. All people of color with the last name Jefferson. So, you know, same way with Lincoln. So don't get it twisted. Don't get it twisted. That's the melanin. You know, these were motherfuckers that hated blacks but loved mulatto. They were in love with mulatto pussy. That's the whole deal. That's the bottom line. Now you can see that she's a mulatto. Now, if she was a mulatto, two things could have happened. Thomas Jefferson was either fucking his own daughter. Sally Hemings could have been his own daughter, and he was fucking and got her pregnant. Or either the president before him, who was it, George Washington, John Adams, she could have been a descendant of one of them. So, you know, she had a thing for the Ice Ape, and she didn't fuck him because she was trying to free her people. That wasn't her mission. She fell in love with the Ice Ape. You know, people try to make it seem like, you know, she was the spook who sat by the door and all this. No, she was the mulatto who slept in the dog's bed. And by the way, Clinton, those are your grandchildren. Those two heavily melanated girls, those are your grandchildren. You need to go see them. You know, and it's the same way, you know, with these, with the I'm gonna go off course a little bit, but it's still based around the same thing of children that look like they look like their parents. Now here's Michael Jackson. Now a lot of people didn't know Michael Jackson had a huge sexual fetish for sisters who had magnificent voices. And Mickey Howard, Stephanie Mills, and Whitney Houston, all three had spent the night in Mike's house and spent the night with him on one or more occasions. And they just weren't watching TV, if you know what I mean. And I'll prove it to you. That's Mickey Howard. That's the son, Brandon Howard. As you can see, he has all the Jackson features. You know, he looks like Michael and Tito. A combination. And he has the voice of Michael. He has that same voice like Mike, his father. And he can dance. Multi-talented. And that's the three of them. I'm quite sure you can see you're not blind. That's Mike and that's Brandon. So you cannot tell me that that's not Mike's son. Now I can tell you who isn't Mike's son. Them motherfucking crackers that live in his mansion, that live over there in that Neverland. Them little white motherfuckers are not his children. At all. Mike and Brandon. Mickey Howard. And that's Mike and Brandon. You know, so, you know. And Whitney Houston, she admitted, you know, when she spent the night with Mike, you know, and Bubbles kept interfering with them getting down and kept nibbling on her toes. You know, he wasn't nibbling on her toes for nothing. You know, so that's Mike's son. And even LaToya even said that Brandon is her nephew. But see, the media's not going to put that out because of the fact that the reason being because they want those crackers to have that money. They want those white children to have that money. When it rightfully, everything Mike has in terms of leaving, if it comes to leaving anything to the children, Brandon has the exclusive rights to all of that. Because that's truly his blood son.